The Tour of Britain gets underway. Stellar performance here then by Bradley Wiggins. Simon Yates coming up to the line. What a ride! Oh! What a tight finish that was.
Go to Scunthorpe, they said. It's called Sunny Scunny, they said. Don't look at the weather forecast, they also said. Well, okay, it might be raining now, but I found a forecast that said it's going to be sunny later on. I forecast great racing later on and hundreds of thousands of people on the streets of North Lincolnshire, just like there were in Northumberland yesterday. Northern Europe's largest man-made lake of Kielder water was the backdrop for the peloton to start stage 2. And the man who made the break was JLT Condor's Graham Briggs once more. He'd have 6 others with him to contend the 3 Cat 2 climbs in the first half of the Tour's longest stage this year, but Briggs would take 2 of them. And Post's Jacob Scott's consistency would take him close to the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey, but it remains on the shoulders of CCC's Lukas Ausian. The winner of the first stage's Iceberg Sprints jersey, Karol Domagalski, was content to stay in the peloton, and it was a wise decision. Even though the break took all the points, he stays in the jersey. The breakaway managed to get a gap of more than 4 minutes at one point, but the tireless efforts of Sky's Theo Geoghegan-Hart in particular meant they were never completely out of touch. Matt Holmes of Madison Genesis couldn't keep his tongue in, such was the tiring effort up front. But it also meant he got the first look at the finish in Blythe, as the race looped through for the first time. Once he was caught less than 13 kilometres out, the big team's ready for the fast finish. Holmes would take the High Five Combativity Award for his efforts. A fanciful attack late on from Philippe Gilbert was neutralised by Sky. They and Dimension Data wanted to duke it out for the stage win.
Boysenhagen now opens up the sprint. Viviani does the same down the right-hand side of your picture. Boysenhagen comes through. Gaviria through the centre. Boysenhagen holds the power there.
So after the race jury decided to relegate Edvald Boasson-Hagen, Elia Viviani was awarded the stage win. Dylan Groenewegen moves up to second, and Fernando Gaviria of Quick-Step Floors in third place on the stage. It also means Viviani is now in the OVO Energy Leaders jersey, taking over from Caleb Ewan in second. Edvald Boasson-Hagen, though, still in touch. He doesn't get the time bonuses, but did finish on the same time as the group. Luckily, I'm not quite a lone ranger here in Lincolnshire today, joined by Tonto as well, aka Janto Barker. I really enjoyed the race yesterday, the longest stage this year, Janto, but slightly overshadowed a lot of the hard work that was done by the controversial sprint finish into Blythe.
Yeah, a little bit controversial because there was a manoeuvre taken that is unfortunately not allowed, and there are regulations in place to say that a rider cannot cross that far across the road, and ultimately that had to be enforced yesterday, but they did get to the right decision and, you know, still a justifiable winner.
Viviani and Boasson-Hagen are both decent guys. No malice there on the part of either of them. No malice either from Taylor Phinney, who actually has been disqualified from this year's Tour in quite unusual circumstances.
Yeah, he's crossed a level crossing while the lights are on and the barriers are coming down, and again there's regulations and a law in place to say that that's not allowed, and they had to enforce that as well, which unfortunately meant he had to leave the race.
He's on the flight home. Sad to see him go. He'll be much missed. Anyway, let's hear from some of the main protagonists yesterday after an awful lot of hard work was done by them.
Yesterday I wanted to try something because you never know, and it's always different with six riders by team. You know, it's less control, so it was also a way to have less guys for the lead out.
You know, you ask Eddie about the sprint and he has to watch the sprint himself on TV before he can remember what happened. So that's how sort of in the zone he gets. So he was just sprinting as fast as he could and didn't realise what he was actually doing. And that was the only hope we had, that they would take a little bit of sympathy. But, you know, when they made that decision, we were never going to challenge it. Realistically, it was the right decision.
I think it looks obviously a little bit tougher than the last few days, but nothing too crazy. I think you still see a pretty big bunch sprint at the top of it.
I think it's more technical today, so positioning in a bunch will be important. Like yesterday you could stay behind easy, no stress, but today it's more important to stay in front, and I hope to have a fast race.
Really good to hear there, in particular from Belgian legend Philippe Gilbert. And Janto, he really signalled his intentions yesterday.
I thought that was great. He's such an exciting rider. He's someone who can really throw a bit of, danger into the finale for other teams who are trying to ride for the sprint. And ultimately, if they don't follow that lead out right the way to the end, then he will take advantage and go for the win.
What will the riders and the rest of the peloton think when they see a huge name like Gilbert attack them?
I think they're going to look at their stems and tuck in a little bit more because they're going to speed up.
Someone else who was working very, very hard indeed over the past couple of days is Theo Geoghegan-Hart. Look, I like these cheesy play-on names. I think he should be called Hero Geoghegan-Hart because he spends so much time doing hard work on the front. He's clearly cut from a similar cloth to the likes of Ian Stannard at Team Sky.
Well, you've named yourself the Lone Ranger, so we know you like to make up names for people, but he is a fantastic rider. He has done a great job, and he will continue to do so throughout the rest of this week. And, he's a very safe pair of hands or legs, and the team know they can depend on him for any amount of work that needs to be done.
Theo is still only 22, but coming up behind him, another great crop of young talent.
Great British Cycling has set the benchmark. First on the track and then on the road at the biggest event of them all, the Tour de France. Names such as Mark Cavendish, Sir Bradley Wiggins, Sir Chris Hoy, Geraint Thomas and of course Chris Froome have become household names. Plus, there are plenty of new riders coming through. Owain Doull, Theo Geoghegan-Hart and Chris Lawless. We sent one of those pioneers, former track world champion Rob Hales, to find out what the latest crop of young pretenders are learning on this year's Tour of Britain.
You're here with the GB team, young squad, learning your trade, just finding your feet in amongst World Tour riders. How are you finding that?
Yeah, it's amazing because you can't help but look at them and respect them a bit more than normal, but you sort of just watch what they do and try and learn from what they're doing more than anything, and just see, how they're feeding and how they act in the peloton and things like that. And then obviously all of us are quite young. We've got two of the youngest riders here as well, and everyone's sort of just taking it in and trying to learn as much as possible. But then at the same time, we've all got numbers on our backs. We're all trying to race each other, so it gets a bit pushy in the end. But it feels kind of weird when you're shoving like an ex-world champion or something like that. So
now, over the years, you've worked with some of the top guys, more established riders. Here you're with the real new, the youngsters. Do you treat them any differently, speak to them any differently, or are they just a rider with a number on their back?
Yeah, just at the end of the day, they're all riding with a number on their back, and you treat them the same as I treat the riders still the same as I did 10 years ago with Rob Hales and Chris Hoy and Vicky Pendleton.
I feel sorry for them then.
Yeah, so am I. No, there's nothing changed. There's nothing changed. In a way, they are a bit more. They question things a bit more, But for the rest, everything's the same.
It is really gratifying to see some of the young British talent on show at this year's Tour of Britain. For us, maybe, but especially for the new performance director of British Cycling, Stephen Park. And I managed to catch up with him a bit earlier on.
It's going to be a continuingly difficult challenge. Great Britain cycling team's done fantastically well over the years. Top nation clearly by a margin at the Olympics and the Paralympics. To be able to continue and maintain that success is the challenge. But of course, all the other teams around the world are not just sitting around waiting for Great Britain to turn up. They're watching about what we're doing. They're desperate to try and beat us. And those margins between winning and losing, of course, getting smaller and smaller all the time. So our job, of course, is to try and be a little bit smarter, to try and continue to have that edge and just be able to hopefully be that little % ahead when we come to the main event in a few years' time, and again return with hopefully a handful of medals at both the Olympics and Paralympics.
Stephen very much focused on the Olympic and the Paralympic four-year cycle. Let's bring it back now, though, to the here and now and today's route.
Stage 3 is a flat stage for the peloton after the longest day on Stage 2. There are two sprints in the Iceberg Sprint classification on the flat North Lincolnshire countryside at Crowle and Bottisford. The last chance for more sprint points at Scorby is sandwiched between two Category 3 climbs of Greetwell and Rawby Hill. The final Skoda King of the Mountains Cat 3 climb at Winterton could see an attack before the slightly uphill finish in Scunthorpe just 14 kilometres later. Built in 1825, Normanby Hall is a Regency mansion and is owned by the Sheffield family, the original owners of Buckingham Palace. During the First World War, the family remained in the house, helping to care for convalescing soldiers. Scunthorpe in North Lincolnshire is also known as the industrial garden town, with the UK's largest steel processing centre. In fact, the iron industry began here in Scunthorpe way back in the 10th century, with the town being established in what was originally an agricultural area.
Look, I told you the weather was going to improve here in North Lincolnshire. I can feel it warming up now. We might see sunny Scunny after all. So let's head to our commentary now, our team of Brian Smith and Marty McDonald.
Thanks, Matt. The riders are on the rollout from Normanby Hall Country Park round Scunthorpe today. The first time the modern Tour of Britain has visited a finish in Scunthorpe. You can just see Graham Briggs just on the right here next to Taylor Gunman of Madison Genesis in that white and black jersey with the blue and orange flashes. There's Graham Briggs with the yellow glasses. 2 days in the breakaway, Graham Briggs. Can he make it again?
The terrain is not so difficult. The wind is not blowing too much today. I still think it will be a fairly fast stage today. And you never know, the right combination at the right time could determine the outcome of the Tour of Britain.
And kilometre zero, the flag drops and racing is underway. Normanby Hall Country Park to Scunthorpe, and we head out of Alkborough, and straight away as soon as the flag drops, the attack start. Pete Williams of One Pro Cycling in the white jersey there with the black and the light blue, the first man to go. Ian Bibby just has a look round, so the domestic team straight on the attack. The big boys are out. Alex Dowsett, we've seen Dowsett get into many moves like this over the years in the Tour of Britain, and very much to the front. So for riders like a rider down on the corner.
In fact, it's Leslie Williams that went down, just went into that corner slightly too fast and slipped out.
Let's just have a look.
There you go.
And James Losley Williams slides out into the grass.
5 riders now in front. You can see them trying to fan across the road, looking behind. But does look as if Team Sky, Team Dimension Data and the peloton are happy enough with this 5-man group going down the road, and they can settle down and it'll be a little bit safer.
Briggs on the back, number 113 Holmes just in front of him, and as Brian said, you can't sit too far back for these sprints, because they're not all, you can't always get we see some that are in the small towns and through twists and turns on the run-in. And Briggs now just moves up on the left towards the wheel of his teammate Ian Bibby. Bibby's looking for Briggs. Holmes out of the saddle on the back. Our JLT Condor now going to try and lead this out. Harry Tanfield on the front, Pete Williams right behind. 1 kilometre to go in towards the sprint. These jerseys, the Iceberg Sprints jersey, the Skoda King of the Mountains, really prestigious competitions for the British teams. Great crowds as we come through Kroll. Williams out of the saddle now, looking around just to see where Graham Briggs is. Williams wants the wheel of the JLT Condor rider. Just a little elbow there just to manoeuvre Matt Holmes where he wants him. The man with that red number. Holmes gives way and drops onto the wheel of Pete Williams. Bibby's going to lead out. Tanfield, is there Harry Tanfield? Has got a good kick on him as well. Matt Holmes maybe going to take a flyer a little bit earlier than trying to out-sprint Graham Briggs. He has looked very strong over the first couple of stages. Matt Holmes out of the saddle, just flexing his legs, has a look around. The group just keeps moving left when he looks like he's about to make his move. Matt Holmes is sitting in 6th in the competition after yesterday. Williams just checks back just to see where Holmes is. So we really do have a good sprint. Holmes is going to be the first one to open up, but Bibby now lights it up on the front here for JLT Condor. And from this shot, here goes Briggs, Graham Briggs. Bibby's looking around at him. It's going to be JLT Condor 1 and 2 there. So well worked by Briggs and Bibby.
with Harry Tanfield, it looked like, up there in third. So 3:2:1.32 seconds are on offer at the Iceberg sprint point.
I tell you what, Ian Bibby looked good there. He had to slow ever so slightly to make sure Graham Briggs got past, but it was a close one in the end. Pete Williams was pushed out of that. Matt Holmes was looking to go for a long one, but they came round the corner, saw the sprints, and Bibby was propped on the front at that moment in time. You can just see it. He's looking to the side to make sure that Graham Briggs comes past, and he just comes past and takes the 3 points on the line.
The peloton heading through Low Burnham. And our targets today, our King of the Mountains, are all fairly flat today, for want of a better description. We've got our first Skoda King of the Mountains point will come with 89.1 to go. A little while before we get that will be Greetwell. That's 1.4 kilometres, just an average of 1%. So a little rise. Looking back to yesterday and on the run-in, we had that attack by Philippe Gilbert, who tried to get away on the back end of the stage yesterday. It was quite an opportunistic move, wasn't it, by Gilbert?
I think everybody's looking at opportunities. Philippe Gilbert can time trial well, and an opportunity rose yesterday. Gaviria maybe not in the best form, but yeah, everybody's looking at opportunities, even these young fans at the side of the road.
Breakaway group. We're heading in towards the next Iceberg sprint. There's your 1 kilometre to go board. Matt Holmes on the front, gives a little flick of the elbow so you can see the breakaway here. Bottasford's Graham Briggs just knocks off the tempo. Matt Holmes decides to attack. Ian Bibby gets in there. Briggs just gives Harry Tanfield a bit of a nod to close the gap. Holmes on the front. Bibby having a look round now for his teammate Pete Williams, the teammate of the overnight leader Karol Domagowski. Pete Williams now opens up his sprint. Bibby gets into the slipstream, so does Tanfield. Briggs is on the back. We've seen it over the last couple of days in the Iceberg sprints and the Skoda King of the Mountains. Graham Briggs can leave his sprint very late. He's a punchy rider, is Briggs, but he's wrestling the bike here. Maybe the days in the breakaways are starting to tell a little bit for Graham Briggs. Ian Bibby just easing up on this slight rise there for Graham Briggs. He had to work hard for that one.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at what he was doing, trying to get on Tanfield's wheel. It was a hard sprint, that one, but they got the reward in the end, first and second. And in fact, it was the first three again from the first sprint of the day: Briggs, Bibby, and Tanfield.
So Graham Briggs is really, you can see, working hard. It does take its toll on your body and your legs, being in that breakaway group day in, day out. And you can see here Ian Bibby just easing back, just letting his teammate come through and extend his lead in that competition. Our next targets along the route will be Greetwell, and the first Skoda King of the Mountains point of the day. That comes at 87.8 kilometres covered, so just over halfway of today's stage, 89.1 kilometres to go. Greetwell will be the first climb of the day. It's a category 3 climb, so 4, 3, 2 and 1 points are on offer. Lucas Alcyon is leading that classification for CCC Sprandi Polkowice ahead of Jacob Scott of On Post Chain Reaction. Graham Briggs up there in third place with 17 points. You see, looking at Briggs in the Iceberg sprints, you think he might have the legs to try and battle it out for those Skoda points as well?
I think he has to. He has to try anyway, but I think Matt Holmes will be looking for that, and I think Graham maybe has to think about the long game here. He's already extended the lead he had with that last sprint there. He now has 12 points to Domagowski's 6 points, so sometimes it's about saving a little bit of energy. If he can tap away without making too much energy, because yesterday he was sprinting flat out for the Skoda King of the Mountains points, and he sprinted very well.
89.2 to go. This is Greetwell. It's our first Skoda King of the Mountains point of the day. Category 3 climb. 4.32 and 1 point are on offer at the top. Graham Briggs, as you said, goes into this with 21 points in third place. So if he can take this one, he can also take a lead in the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. Yesterday it was all on count back. Lucas Alcyon kept the lead. Ian Bibby opens up on the front for JLT Condor, and Briggs in the wheel. Here comes Matt Holmes. It's going to be a sprint between Graham Briggs and Matt Holmes. Briggs finds it, digs deep as he goes over the top of that Skoda King of the Mountains point, and you just see him there talking into the radio just to let the teammates know that he managed to take the points at the top of that one. Matt Holmes is frustrated. Little fist pump between Graham Briggs and Ian Bibby. Bibby led out. Briggs comes off the wheel. You can see Matt Holmes here just trying to close the gap down, and for another time today it's been the order over the line. The first two, Briggs and Bibby, really bossing these intermediate competitions here today.
Well, he's in the best company if he wants to know how to win the King of the Mountains and the sprints competition in one race. He just has to ask Pete Williams. But yeah, there was another good piece of teamwork there by Ian Bibby, just looking after Graham Briggs, and Graham Briggs now goes equal top at the top of the Skoda King of the Mountains as well with 21 points. And you know, he'll be looking to score in the next King of the Mountain and the next sprint, and you know, he could be leading both their competitions at the end of the day.
We are going to take a short break. Join us for more from the Over Energy Tour of Britain. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to stage 3 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Intermediate sprints today. Matt Holmes just on the wheel now of Graham Briggs. Bibby, a really dedicated team rider today, really trying to set these sprints up beautifully for Graham Briggs. Has a look back over his shoulder. Pete Williams just sat comfortably on the back of the group. So into Scorby. Bibby now out of the saddle on the front. Briggs on the wheel. Here comes Pete Williams. Is he going to make a charge from the back? Pete Williams, he knows how to win these intermediate sprints competitions. Bibby still on the front. Our breakaway group still in one long line. Graham Briggs, are we hoping for a shorter sprint than he's had on some of the previous sprints today? He looked quite tired on the previous one, but managed to recover for the Skoda King of the Mountains. Bibby opens it up. Briggs on the wheel. Harry Tanfield and Matt Holmes trying to stay on the wheel now of the powerhouse from JLT Condor. Can Holmes get round Briggs? Briggs, great speed again from Graham Briggs. And he crosses the line ahead of Matt Holmes and Harry Tanfield. He's not leaving anything to chance today, Brian, unlike day one.
No, that was another good sprint by Graham Briggs. Now had 3 iceberg sprints today. He's got maximum points, 9 points.
There's Scorby Hall. There's a Jacobean manor house, Scorby Hall. Dates back to 1605. On to the next King of the Mountains point of the day. You see the Skoda sign there, the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey, the black and green jersey. We've had Lucas Alcyon in the breakaways for the first 2 days. He's not here today. Graham Briggs has level proceedings on the previous climb, and he will now look to try and take the lead. Ian Bibby presses through to the front, and Bibby doing a sterling job today to set things up for Briggs. And as you said a little bit earlier, Brian, Briggs here really just trying to build an advantage in this in these competitions which will allow him to maybe take a day off tomorrow and sit back in the peloton?
Well, he's using his asset, and that's sprinting, and he's got an opportunity here to take points in the Skoda King of the Mountains competition. He did it well yesterday, and Matt Holmes said at the start of the day that it was more of a sprint than a King of the Mountains, but he's taken advantage of that, and he's already won 4 sprints today already. Albeit one as a King of the Mountains points, and if he does this again, he'll go into the virtual lead in that competition with just the 1 climb to come. So he'll be looking at these 4 points, and yet again, it's just possibly a 2-3% sprint here.
Bibby's just having a chat here with Briggs just to see how he is. Bibby's going to lead out for his teammates. Tanfield and Holmes straight on them, and look at that, the power of Bibby and Briggs open up the gap to Harry Tanfield, and Briggs comes off the wheel of his teammate, and not severe climb, but Graham Briggs goes over the top of our next King of the Mountains point here in Rawby, and takes maximum points. And it's I wonder here just how much energy does Graham Briggs have left in the system.
These sprinters are just looking potentially for the stage win, while the likes of kind of Boasson Hagen is looking for bonuses, and obviously the stage win as well. Some of the sprinters like Christoph and the likes can still time trial well enough, so we'll wait and see how this develops. But this gap coming down, and if they are caught, which I think they will be caught within maybe the next 10 kilometres, then this last climb could come into play and we could see some attacks.
Ian Bibby goes on the attack, and it's his teammate Graham Briggs that is done. And there he is, Graham Briggs, big smile. What a great day out for him. You can see the sun finally coming out for the riders. You can see from the shots, sunny Scunny is looking like it might finally live up to its name. And we finish on the Kingsway alongside the Central Park here in Scunthorpe this afternoon. And as always, a large promo area that they have at the finishes. Ian Bibby now puts the pressure on, and there's the start of the King of the Mountains point as we exit Winterton. So 3 kilometres. Harry Tanfield, the legs go for the Bike Channel Canyon rider. He's worked hard in that group today. Bibby has a look around just to see who's still with him. Pete Williams and Matt Holmes are both there. A little quick flick of the elbow there from Pete Williams just to let Matt Holmes know that he wants him to come through.
It's going to be touch and go now whether these riders stay away before the top of the climb. This climb is 3 kilometres in length. We just started it. It just kind of drags all the way up, but you can just see the wind blowing a little bit. It's exposed in this climb, and another opportunity for maybe a team likes of BMC. They tried in the Scottish days to try and split it, and they did split it. Okay, it came back together, but you have to look at opportunities. You can't just sit in the peloton all day and let the other teams drag you to the finish. They'll be looking at an opportunity here in this climb.
And here comes Jacob Scott. We saw him moving up from the On-Post Chain Reaction team. 21 points in this Skoda King of the Mountains competition. Great move now by the On-Post rider. This is a sensible move now by Jacob Scott.
It's a brave one, and he sat in the peloton all day, and he's been trying hard over the last couple of days to get as many points as he can in that competition. So I think John Herity will be shouting at Ian Bibby to make sure he stays away and takes these points away from Jacob Scott, because Briggs has 25 points, Jacob Scott has got 21 points, and if he crests the top of this climb with the points, it'll come down to the general classification, but then it'll come down to who's won the most amount of Skoda King of the Mountains, and that would be possibly, looking at count back, that would possibly be Graham Briggs. So it's still nip and tuck, but I'm expecting some action from the front of the peloton from some of the other teams that don't have a sprinter.
There's Jacob Scott And that's your confirmation of your group. Peter Williams on the back there for One Pro Cycling. Ian Bibby in the centre for JLT Condor. Matt Holmes on the front. These riders have been away for most of the day today. They're heading towards the summit. They're not far away now from the summit of the climb. Here comes Jacob Scott, just trying to close down this gap. Bibby looking back just to see where the on-post rider is. Theo Gegenhardt is still controlling affairs on the front for Team Sky. And 5 seconds is the gap back to the chaser. If you're a Bibby here, Brian, you maybe try and go before Scott gets on.
Well, the thing is a big effort from Jacob Scott, and I know he's been riding in the peloton all day. These riders have been out in the wind all day, so it's this effort that he's having to put in to come across. I think it might tire him out for any potential sprint.
Bibby now sees the summit and goes for the climb. Jacob Scott looking around. Ian Bibby is going to take the maximum points here at the top for JLT Condor. Very, very sensible team riding here from Ian Bibby. He goes over the top ahead of Matt Holmes and Pete Williams, and Jacob Scott just trying to hang on.
Yeah, Scott just getting 1 point there, so he'll end the day in second place in the Skoda King of the Mountains competition, but good effort there by Ian Bibby.
Here we are at a K to go, and what you can see behind me is a significant drag that starts at 2 Ks to go. That will make a difference in the result at the finish today. As we get further towards the finish, 700-800 metres to go, it flattens off a bit. The guys will want to take a bit of a breather here, get their last bits of positioning right before they sprint for the line and open up. Coming up to 500 to go, a long sweeping left-hander all the way to the line, which will be telling. Also importantly, the wind is noticeable from the right-hand side, coming slightly into the rider spaces. It's going to mean that you have to time your effort perfectly if you want to keep that lead all the way to the line. 300 to go. You can see the white lines. The tightest line is here on the left. Don't be surprised to see the winning rider coming up this left-hand barrier as the wind comes across from the right, and all the paint markings starting to come in more and more, making this bit much more bumpy and less efficient for sprinting. The final 100 metres, as we're coming up to it now, is flat, but if you've mistimed your effort, you will die at the line, and that will be an opportunity to get swamped.
Five kilometres to go in stage 3 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain.
We can just see here that Lars Boom just came up the gap in the middle and came to the front and slotted right in front of his lead-out train. The riders are a wee bit hesitant to go full gas. We are going into a bit of a headwind, and that's slowing things down. So getting into position is key at this moment. Just picking your side of the road. You got Team Dimension Data on the right-hand side, Sky on the left-hand side. In the yellow, you've got Lotto NL Jumbo. You can see the riders of CCC in the orange, but coming up the left-hand side, you can see the team in the yellow helmets, and that's Orica Scott looking at Caleb Ewan today.
Power down now, 4.2 kilometres to go, and Bernie Eisel now takes over on the front. Jan Tratnik in the orange there for CCC as they try and set this up for Alan Banaszek. Lars Bohm on the front of the group here for Lotto Jumbo on the right of your picture in those yellow helmets. The blue tops is Orica Scott looking to set it up for Caleb Ewan. Dimension Data move across to the left, change of position. Here come the green and orange of Bardiani CSF. Enrico Barbin is their sprinter. 3.4 to go in towards the finish here in Scunthorpe.
They come round this corner and still Eisel's on the front. Boasson Hagen is in 4th place, but Mark Cavendish is just in second place here, and behind him Mark Renshaw. And Mark Renshaw is just shouting out to them. They're just kind of mobbing the front at the moment. Mark Cavendish comes through to give Bernie Eisel a bit of a turn. Seberg is there for Lotto Soudal in the red. They have to deliver something. They've got Mass in their ranks, and they want to try and deliver something in this slightly uphill finish.
They go through 2 kilometres to go, through a roundabout swing left, and then they have a fairly sweeping turn to the right before they go through the Flamme Rouge at 1 kilometre to go. Lars Boom, job done by the former Dutch champion as he swings off the front. They've gone through the 3 kilometre to go board at the side. It's a CCC Sprande Polkovice here, just maybe a little bit too far out from the finish for CCC with just one rider.
Yeah, it's a long way to go with for one rider at the front, and he's going to peel off and leaving his teammate propped on the front. And this is a good job for the likes of Team Dimension Data, and the other riders are taking up the workload at the front. So you can just see the yellow helmets of Orica Scott just sitting back. Christoph up there in the white jersey is the European champion. His lead out hasn't been brilliant, so he's decided to do this pretty much on his own. His team are coming up in the right hand side, but Christoph is in the left hand side, deciding to try and go with some of the other riders.
As well, just catching a glimpse there of Hayden McCormick, number 14 from One Pro Cycling. He's got a good finish on him. Here comes Philippe Gilbert. Moving up for Quick Step Floors, Alexander Christoph just trying to wrestle his way through towards the front now and find the wheel of Tony Martin. His teammate Alexander Christoph gets that final lead out now from Tony Martin, but it's Team Sky on the front with Dimension Data. Just one solo rider in there from CCC Sprande Polkovice. Bernie Eisel has a look around. They've still got the full complement. Look at the power now, and Mark Renshaw not being bossed around at all at the front of this one. They've worked hard all day. Edvald Bosenhagen is on the wheel of Mark Renshaw with Scott Thwaites. Bernie Eisel swings off the front. It's going to be Mark Cavendish, then Mark Renshaw and Edvald Bosenhagen as they try and set this one up for the finish. They've got one rider behind Bosenhagen just to try and keep riders off the wheel, and it's Alexander Christoph that's not far back from the front in that European Champions jersey. And up on the outside, here come the jerseys of JLT Condor.
Well, this drags up all the way to the line pretty much, and it's a big wide road, so plenty of room for movement. And if you go too early, Zinedine Stibar is trying to go on the right hand side, but it's still into a bit of a headwind, and it's going to be a bit of a drag race. Patience is the key in this sprint today.
Stibar on the front. Here's Kwiatkowski. Mikhail Kwiatkowski comes over the top now of Denek Stibar. As Brian said, the road just drags up. It's Team Sky with Kwiatkowski on the front. Denek Stibar has been sprinting well throughout the race this week. They go through the Flamme Rouge, 1 kilometre to go. Dimension Data, Edvald Bosenhagen is well up there. Elia Viviani just a little bit further back from the front. Fernando Gaviria, Luca Mies gets moving up with Caleb Ewan not far away.
Yeah, Mark Renshaw trying to take it up now. He wants to keep the pressure on in case he gets attacked and swamped from behind. So Mark Renshaw is there with Edvald Bosenhagen on the wheel. Then you get Christoph, the European champion, coming up late. You can see the team of Quick Step Floors as the attack on the right hand side by Philippe Gilbert.
Gilbert goes again. We saw Philippe Gilbert try this yesterday, a little bit further out from the finish. 500 metres to go now. Philippe Gilbert, this road just dragging up. This is a perfect finish for Philippe Gilbert. He takes a look back over his shoulder. Has he timed this one perfectly? Echoes of Amstel Gold. We see the sprint victories from Philippe Gilbert as they try and drag this one back. Luca Mies gets now trying to set up for Caleb Ewan. Edvald Bosenhagen is here. Here comes Caleb Ewan into the slipstream of Gilbert and past. Bosenhagen is there. He's through the centre. It's Caleb Ewan. Is he going to take his second stage victory of the week? It's close yet again between him and Edvald Bosenhagen. The throw to the line. And gutsy move there by Philippe Gilbert. Ewan and Bosenhagen cross the line. And handshakes from Caleb Ewan and Edvald Bosenhagen.
Caleb Ewan is looking behind. He's got Christoph in the wheel. Bosenhagen goes down the right hand side. But I think Caleb Ewan, he just darts to the left-hand side, the shortest way yet again. I don't think Boasson-Hagen is getting round him this time. Caleb Ewan wins his second stage. Boasson-Hagen takes seconds, close again on the finishing line with Christoph in third place.
So for the second time, Caleb Ewan takes to the podium in the 2017 OVO Energy Tour of Britain. The Orica Scott sprinter just ahead from Edvald Boasson-Hagen of Team Dimension Data, who's obviously in great form, and Alexander Kristoff in third. That means that Caleb Ewan is back in the leader's green jersey.
Yeah, you know, today was a tough day, obviously with the weather. So yeah, it wasn't kind of as straightforward as we would have hoped, and I think it made it a bit harder. We had to sit right near the front all day, so we're taking a little bit of wind, and obviously with the hill coming up to the finish line, it was going to make it a bit tricky as well.
Elliot Viviani drops to second place in the general classification, with the Tour of Britain overall winner from 2009 and 2015, Edvald Boasson-Hagen, lying in wait in third. Graham Briggs was rewarded for all his hard work on the road today by taking over as leader in the Iceberg Sprints classification. He was back on the podium with Briggs Jr. for the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. Caleb Ewan also takes over in the Wiggle Points classification with another lunge for the line in Scunthorpe. Chris Lawless maintains his position as the Adnams best placed British rider.
Well, it wasn't just one pocket rocket who did the business today, but another one in the form of Graham Briggs, because Caleb Ewan may have won it, Graham, but you did an almighty amount of work out in the breakaway once again. You like it out there?
Yeah, I made it difficult for myself. Yeah, that's third day on the trot in the break, so the legs were hurting a lot this morning, but I knew if I could get to the 100k mark, I could try and pick something up. So.
You didn't just pick something up, you picked up not one but two jerseys, the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey and also the Iceberg Sprints jersey as well. That's going to be hard to defend.
Yeah, it's just nice to get out there for 3 stages and just see what I could do, and yeah, it's come to this 2 jerseys, but yeah, it will be hard to defend like you say, but we'll give it a good shot.
Good to have your teammate Ian Bibby with you as well, and we all know Ian is a fast man in his own right. What was the conversation between you as you were going around hoovering up all those points?
Yeah, we spoke about it this morning. If Ian could get in the break as well, it'd be like a really good help. And yeah, he led me out for all the sprints, and yeah, played a treat really.
Great. We saw you coming into the winners' enclosure where your lad was there, and you were chatting to him, but he didn't get picked up straight away. Was he saying something to you? I'm interested to know what it was.
Can't quite remember what he said now.
You wouldn't put his arms out for a cuddle.
I don't know what he's saying. Sorry.
Never mind. Jan's so soft about these things. He's a new dad. You'll have to forgive those questions. What I did like seeing from young Ruben there, he's only 3 years old, isn't he?
3, yeah.
You were trying to teach him how to open the bottle of fizz and spray it around.
Yeah.
Are you already teeing him up to be a racing cyclist of the future?
Whatever he wants to be, but yeah, he loves riding his bike, and yeah, take him out when I can, and yeah, he's been on the podium a few times, and yeah, when I was on the podium with him, he said, "Don't spray me, Daddy."
That's what I say when I'm on the podium with you riders. Look, stay there, Graham, because it's going to be a busy day for you tomorrow in Robin Hood country, no less. Starts in Mansfield. Let's have a look now.
Nottinghamshire is the venue for stage 4 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Starting for the first time in Mansfield, the peloton rides for nearly 60 kilometres before the first sprint at Bilsthorpe. Continuing through the Sherwood Forest and its association with Robin Hood, the teams have 2 more chances for Iceberg sprint points at Ranskill and Collingham, plus the only categorised climb of the day at Eaton Wood. Then it's on to the finish in Newark-on-Trent.
Graham, I think it's fair to say you must be pretty knackered now after your exertions in the OVO Energy Tour of Britain so far. So what will the plan be tomorrow in Nottinghamshire?
See what John says in the team meeting.
John Herity,
John
the
Herity,
DS.
see what words of wisdom he has for me, but hopefully it'll not be to get in the break.
What if he says get in the break? You just have to do it despite how you're feeling. What about that?
Yeah, I'll see how I feel in the morning. I don't want to put myself in a box and be completely done in for the rest of the race. So yeah, it might be. Hopefully, it'll be an easier day tomorrow, and then concentrate towards the latter end of the week and see what those stages bring.
Look, you're a past master at getting into the break, and we're fortunate enough here on ITV4 to see the whole race from start to finish. We saw the break go this morning, and then the World Tour teams shut it down. Is it often quite hard to get away from those big riders when they want to close things off?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a bit more difficult this morning, and yeah, those first couple of kilometres were quite difficult, and yeah, I just thought I just need to keep going with the moves, and then hopefully one will stick, and yeah, I looked round and the gap had opened, so I was chuffed to bits.
You're certainly showing people how it's done, Graham. Really good to see you. Janto, thanks a lot to you as well. That's just about it from now. We are live on ITV4 with stage 4 of this year's Tour of Britain at 10:45 in the morning. Do join us then if you can. Bye for now.
Tell me what it keeps saying.